My name is Dr. Matt Gibbons. I'm actually the DCT for the Applied Clinical Program, so I'm going to take you through the steps necessary to become licensed in California. These steps are going to be for our school specifically, so if you have an individual in another program or another school, it's going to be similar, but keep in mind that the Chicago school has its own requirements, so this may or may not apply to them. So the first thing, and I can't encourage this more, is to get very familiar with the BOP website. They don't change it often, but when they change it, sometimes it's a secret. They will hold you responsible for the content that's on the website. They'll try to kind of give you the heads up that things are changing, and actually later in the slide I'll talk to you more about how those changes are going to place. There's a question there about PowerPoint for the reference.
Yes.
So we're going to put those up online afterwards.
All these presentations will be posted on the Career Services site with either this directly on it, we can record them together, and if not, it'll be sent as an attachment to the recording. Gotcha.
Okay. So keep an eye out for that. And also, if you have questions, we'll have some time at the end that we can kind of go over for those. So if you have any, or if people here have something, we can answer those kind of live for you as well. Okay, so back to the BOP. So they're not going to let you get away with, well, nobody told me, or, you know, I wasn't aware of this. So you want to make sure you know what you're getting involved with ahead of time. Also, it's impossible to backtrack your hours. What I mean by this is you have to have everything prepared ahead of time and approved ahead of time from the BOP. So they're not going to look at your paperwork once everything is done and say, well, this doesn't match up, and you say, well, no, I made a change along the way. They're not going to let that fly. So that's something to keep in mind. Okay, the first aspect we're going to talk about is the graduate school portion, to which you're probably familiar with. So 1A of the first step is to complete practicum. Now, depending on what program you're in, the hours stipulation is going to be different, but the programs do begin in spring, usually about 15 to 25 hours per week, and the placements last 9 to 12 months. You also want to make sure that you're currently enrolled in your practicum class while you're taking practicum. That's for legal reasons. You're covered under the liability of the program while you're entered in the class. Also, it's a nice way to kind of complement what it is that you're doing, bounce ideas off your classmates, your professors, things like that. The second aspect is internship. Now, our program specifically requires 1,500 hours internship that you complete. That's a little bit different than what the BOP requires, but keep this in mind, this is going to total 300. But for the school requirement, you're going to need 1,500 hours. Those settings can be an APIC setting, a KPIC setting, psych assistantship, or a DMH setting. Again, you want to make sure that you're enrolled in an internship class each semester, and this is for those same reasons. Okay. Step 2, once you graduate. So the steps, assuming you're graduating, and it's important to keep in mind that one step needs to be completed before the next one does. So you have to complete practicum before you complete internship, and you have to complete internship before you complete postdoc. Postdoc is post your doctorate, so it's making sure that everything is finished with that. Graduation is going to include passing your comps exam, making sure all your internship hours are complete, and your dissertation is finished, signed off, and completed. Step 3, so this is where you're going to really want to concentrate on the BOP website, to which you're already to be familiar with. You're going to check the updated rules, the regulations that come along with being a licensed psychologist, and just check to see what kind of updates they're going to have. The website is psychboard.ca.gov for you to take a look at it. The next steps that are coming up are going to be the EPPP and the CPSC. These are the 2 exams post all this experience, and the BOP website is going to be the place to which you can find all these different information about these things. You can actually take the EPPP once you finish all your graduation requirements, but you won't become licensed officially until you get the 2 exams finished and have all your experience finished. Okay? The fourth step, 1,500 postdoctoral hours for our program. So this, not to be confused, the board is going to require 3,000 hours, but keep in mind you've already accrued 1,500 from your internship. So you have to get an additional 1,500 from the postdoc to equal 3,000 hours. So that's going to be something that's going to be in the postdoctoral phase, and the positions can be official postdocs, they can be psych assistantships, or they can be jobs that allow you to get your supervision criteria met. Keep in mind you want to check the website for the requirements for your specific program to see what you need as far as supervision, but that's what's really important, that you focus on the program that you're in and the degree to which you are trying to obtain. Okay, so once you're to that point, the fifth step is going to be applying to the BOP and studying for the exams that are going to be coming up. The first exam that you're going to take is the EPPP. This is a very difficult test, and it requires a lot of prep ahead of time. The rule of thumb is to study 6 months before you're going to take the exam. This is a lot of the materials that you have gone over in your graduate program. However, you want to make sure that you really have an idea about what it is that you're doing, because it's going to get really specific in the challenges. It's a big challenge, to be honest with you. The good news is they have prep classes and courses that can actually assist you along the way. Psych prep and AATBS can actually help you through the process, alleviate a little bit of the anxiety that's associated with it, and kind of give you tricks of the trade to kind of go through that. Okay, so you have to take the EPPP until you pass. Each time you take it, you actually have to pay the full exam fee again, so it's in your best interest to pass it on the first time if you can. Once you take the exam, you pass, then you kind of move on to the next step. So, any questions so far? Okay, so your passing rate is 500 in California. That's pretty standard across states. New York and California seem to have the highest rates for licensure. So a lot of times, if you meet the California requirements, you're going to meet ones from other states, but don't hold me to that. That's just kind of a rule of thumb. Again, you're going to want to research the Board of Psychology website to which the state you're going to apply in, and make sure that those are the same requirements. Okay. Number 7, turn in all your necessary forms to the Board of Psychology and to your DCT. This is going to include all the supervision training agreements, all the hours verification forms, all the verifications from supervisors. That's going to include your postdoc and your internship hours. You're going to turn in your transcripts, your certificates that you earn along the way. And it's important to keep a copy of all this material, because from time to time things are misplaced. The BOP may lose something, and you want to have these materials moving forward. Also, if you get licensed in one state, move to another state, you're going to have to resubmit all these materials, so it's good to have these things on hand. You're going to want to make sure, get in contact with your director of clinical training to make sure that you're ready for graduation, make sure that they have all the forms. So it's a nice way to kind of double check. For California specifically, there's additional coursework that you may not have during your course of study, and that's 5 different classes that you have to take: human sexuality, a child abuse course, alcohol chemical dependency course, a spousal partner abuse course, and an aging and long-term care course. These are courses that you can do kind of anywhere along the way, and you can actually do these online. So they're like a typical graduate level course. However, these just aren't in normal graduate programs. So for California license, you have to make sure that these are completed. Okay, so the next step, number 9, is CPSC. Now this is how the current law stands. They're actually, as we speak, in June of 2015, are saying that the CPSC is current. However, they're in the process of making changes for the CPSC to transform it from the CPSC to the CPLEE. The reason for this is because they're finding that the CPSE and the EPPP are very similar. So what they're basically saying is California wants its licensees to complete a state laws exam. So that's what the CPLEE is. It's going to be another test that's on top of this EPPP. Sorry, a lot of initials here that we're using, but this is going to be a state law exam to which not every state has, but a lot of them do. So depending on what state you're going to practice in, you have to figure out if the laws and ethics examination is needed. California is one of those. If you don't pass this exam, you have to wait 6 months to take it again. They only offer a couple of different versions, so you have to wait till the new version comes out, which is every 6 months. Okay. Once you pass all your exams, you are a fully licensed psychologist. What you're going to want to do is make sure that you're renewing your license on time, which for California is every 2 years. Your license will expire on your birthday every 2 years. And you're going to want to make sure that you're doing your continuing education credits for each term, and that's going to be 36 hours every 2 years. The more specific information can be from the BOP, and that's all I have for you. Any questions that we have? Any questions online?
I have a question.
Okay.
So with the CPSE exam, the California exam?
Okay.
That's interesting. Is that exam, is it as extensive as the EPPP, like in length and in, like, are there training courses and stuff like that you can take for that exam as well?
It's not as long. It's 125 questions, so it's not as long. The CPLEE, they're talking about making it a 100-question test. So it's not as long. However, it is very in-depth. So you really have to know your stuff. You know, you really have to know the laws and the rules and regulations going into that. So it doesn't require as much prep time. We're still talking about 3-4 months prep time, but it's not as big as the EPPP.
And do you know if like AATBS or any of those, do they have prep courses for that one as well?
They do. Okay. They do. The early statistics for the CPSC, and one of the reasons why they're changing it, and because it was such a difficult test, it was at a 50% pass rate. So this is individuals who have their doctorate degrees that have already passed the EPPP weren't able to pass this California version. So they're kind of tweaking it, making adjustments to it. So the good news is that part is over, and those of you that are going to take it in the future actually have the luxury of having not have to go through this. However, it's still a test to take seriously. So
how many times do they operate the EPPP?
That's a good question. So you can actually take that sooner after. I think it's a 2-month wait.
Can you maybe just repeat the question in case people online?
Sure. So the question was, how soon do you have to wait to take the EPPP if you don't pass it the first time? It's basically you have to sign up again for it and get the registration back. But the time frame is not, you don't have to wait because there's a couple of different versions of the exam that are going on. And then the way the EPPP works is they don't give you your results right away. They mail them to you. So it takes like 2-3 weeks to get those results, and then once that comes, you can apply and take it again. The CPSE, get the results right away, so you know whether you pass or fail.
You want to click down on the chat to see if maybe there's some stuff in there?
So, okay, so there's a couple of questions. There's a couple of yeses.
Yeah, that was when I was asking if people could hear.
Oh, okay. We are recording. The PowerPoint we talked about. What else do we have here? Okay, so this is from Message AATBS will be hosting a test strategies webinar this week as well, Wednesday, June 3rd, 10 a.m. And it gives you the link to sign up for that. Okay, if you took additional coursework such as human sexuality and aging, chemical dependency, and spousal abuse during our master's program, do we need to take it? No, but you have to get it approved by the BOP that says that those courses do in fact count, because there are certain classes and certain coursework that need to be pre-approved before you're taking those. So you just have to get those signed off on. So there's a handful of courses that may be the exact title from the course that we need to take in California. However, California might not recognize that. And by California, I mean the BOP. So you want to go ahead and sign up for classes that you know are going to fit for those. So that's a good question. Okay. Do I need to submit the pre-doc internship hours in the VOE to the BOP in order to apply for the EAAA? Yes, you do. You have to make sure that all the internship hours are complete, the BOP, in order to apply for the BOP. So you can apply, but you don't necessarily have to finish, and then when you finish, the BOP will let you take it. Okay, so that's it. Okay, thanks. Okay, good. So that's all the questions online. Any more questions in here that I can answer for you? So please feel free to contact me if you have additional questions. You can contact me at m@thechicagoschool.edu. I'd be happy to answer those. Also, research that BOP website. It's a great resource and can answer a lot of questions for you. But I appreciate your time and good luck in licensure.
And yeah, and just quickly too, this is really talking. I just want to remind everyone that we're doing another presentation at this time tomorrow that will be recorded. That's an interactive from alumni here who was just recently licensed within the past year, and he's going to be coming here to the campus to share his experience, a lot more about studying for the exam and more kind of a personal thing, tools that he used on the personal level to get to that level of becoming a licensed psychologist here in California. Okay?
Excellent.
So thank you so much, everybody.
All right. Have a good day.
All right.